study from Lincoln University found that children with autism experience less disruption in the presence of a pet dog, and their parents' stress levels are significantly reduced. But we also see that dogs can change trust levels, help reduce anxiety, improve communication, and help families. If one observes animals, particularly dogs, one can learn the basics as needed without words, confusing sight issues and contradictions. Nature has finally received feedback from overpopulation, and since communication quite easily leads to children, nature has switched this nonsense to a lower level. This means that autistic people have to learn from this lower level to find more adaptive processes that nature can write into the DNA to pass on genetically. There are quite a few helpful things that help the development of an autistic child. Pets can definitely be one of them, and it doesn't have to be a therapy-trained pet. Therapy-trained pets can be helpful if the child has a history of running away or getting into dangerous situations. But most autistic children will not need this level of intensive therapy. Thrive and keep them safe. You should also be aware of what such therapy can do to a child. I hope you're not one of those who think they can hope to erase their child's autism, because it's just not realistic. The goal of pet therapy is to support that person in their development, whether it's a pet to keep them company, to keep them safe, to calm them down after a stressful day or sensory input. And that should be the goal of therapy for the autistic person, to make sure that they're happy and developing their own way into a functioning adult. METGIRT was lying on her back in a van, harnessed by her parents, face down in blankets. She had headphones on, because she hates loud noises, a symptom of her Down syndrome and autism. Then a drooling kiss from a rescue dog named Little Bear changed everything. The instant look of joy on her 11-year-old daughter's face was something Sherry Tiger had never seen before. I wept at the huge smile on Emmy's face and the concentration, Tiger said. You don't see that with Emmy very much. The initial interaction was just neat to see. She was just happy and excited to play. She was moving. We prayed about it for a long time. For TGIRT, this first meeting between her daughter and the dog that would become her constant companion was like fate. The Spurgro girl is nonverbal and often frustrated in social interactions. Her parents struggled to help her overcome her anxiety. We always felt a therapy dog would be an amazing way to help Emmy stay calm and focused, Tiger said. She does have a lot of issues with dysregulation, anxiety and OCD, and anything can cause that. The loud noises of a very busy environment. School is a challenge for her. The family had been looking for a service animal for a long time before Amy started school. They were ready to apply 4 years ago, but with another child on the way, the timing was wrong. They decided to hold off, not realizing that some families could wait up to 5 years for a certified service dog. By the time they got back to the idea, many agencies were overwhelmed with demand and were no longer accepting applications, Tiger said. We felt like we missed this amazing opportunity. We felt blessed. Despite their daughter's anxiety with the crowds, they took her to the Edmonton Pet Expo, an annual show that showcases animal welfare agencies from across the province. They felt drawn to the booth run by the Endless Wolf Animal Rescue Society. It was there that they first encountered Little Bear. Emmy had met other dogs before, but this was different. She got up from her van, smiled, fed the dog treats, and squealed with laughter. At this point, they decided to adopt Little Bear, a 7-month-old stray they had found last summer in a northern Alberta wildlife refuge. A volunteer was touched by their story, so the agency decided to cover the family's adoption costs. Another person who had applied to take the dog home canceled to expedite the process. We feel blessed and partly in awe and part of something bigger, Tiger said. It was just amazing. We're so grateful. It's like the Little Bear has this intuition. The bond between the little girl and her dog is what I was. Volunteer Nikki Perrine will always remember how Bear influences Emmy to play focus, and most importantly, the huge smiles are really incredible, Perrine said. I always cry. But this time it wasn't the thought of missing it, it was the beautiful new relationship between the little girl and her dog. The Little Bear is already part of the family. When Emmy gets overwhelmed, instead of screaming in frustration, she now crawls to her dog for comfort. Now she's looking for her dog, and Bear will just lay down on top of her, and she just snuggles her head against the bear's fur, Tiger said. Emmy calms down. Her whole behavior changes. It's just amazing. The bear seems to have this intuition. Autism does not require treatment. Some symptoms and comorbidities of autism may require treatment. For example, speech therapy, alternative treatments for ADHD are usually not evidence-based, and are usually a waste of time and money. Dietary control is only a treatment for dietary problems. Do not put your autistic child on a special diet unless your child has a medically diagnosed dietary condition. Note that many artists are fat eaters, and introducing a special diet will cause extra stress and frustration, even when medically necessary. Don't make an extra rod for your back. The companion dog is a help, not a cure. The companion animal is not a pet, but a trained animal. Do not give an autistic child a companion animal unless he or she has needs that can be met by a companion animal, and is receptive to having one, and b. you are willing to meet the exercise, feeding, care and veterinary needs of the animal, because the child may not be able to do so. So, don't give an autistic child a pet, unless you want a pet of your own. My son, who is only slightly autistic, high-functioning, passes almost neurotypical, loves animals, but is not really capable of caring for a pet. He scares cats and annoys dogs by being overly demonstrative, and has no idea of their behavior or needs beyond basic nutrition. Getting a service dog is not like getting a puppy from a pound. Training a service dog costs hundreds of hours, and something like $30,000, and waiting lists are long. You can be sure that if a service dog doesn't help, the service dog will not be placed with your family. If a service dog helps, it doesn't matter if your child especially likes dogs, or even if your child is afraid of dogs. People are afraid of doctors and assistive devices and everything else. They have to be healthy and go through life, and it just needs to be worked through. If you need it, you need it. Service dogs for autism vary in their training depending on the person's needs, and the training process both before and after the dog is placed goes on for some time. In general, dogs can serve to stop self-harming behavior, alert to stimulation, so the person can decide whether or not to stop, lead the person away from dangerous situations, apply deep pressure or lay on the person in a crisis, balance or support people who have poor motor control, to bring people home when they become disoriented, to prevent wandering or get help if they wander, alert to important sounds in loud places. People who need service dogs don't get a pet or companion. They get the services of a professional, just like other working dogs, police or fire dogs, and so on. Usually the person with the service dog does not own the dog, and the dog is replaced. At a certain age and in retirement they are very desirable pets, so don't worry, they get very good homes in general. However, the use of working dogs for children is a relatively new phenomenon, and its growth is primarily due to autism.